1,500 years ago, a man created something so powerful it silenced an emperor mid-sentence. Not a weapon, not an army, a song. And that music is still being performed today, word for word, note for note, exactly as he wrote it. His name was Yared, and almost no one outside of Ethiopia has ever heard his story. The year is 505 AD. The city of Axum, in what is now northern Ethiopia, is one of the most powerful cities on earth. The Aksumite Empire doesn't just survive alongside Rome and Byzantium, it trades with them. It controls the Red Sea trade routes. It's a hub of wealth, scholarship, and deeply rooted Christian faith, having converted over a century earlier. Axum is not the edge of the world, it is a center of it. Into this city, a boy is born. His name is Yared. His father, Yitzhak, is a farmer. His mother, Christina, comes from Eritrean parents. And from the very beginning, Yared's education falls to one man, his uncle, Gebre, a scholarly priest, reputed throughout Axum as a man of immense learning. Gebre takes the boy in and starts teaching him the Holy Scriptures. And this is where most stories about great men start, with a gift, some early sign, something that sets them apart from the rest. But Yared's story doesn't start like that. It starts with failure. Yared is a bad student, not average, genuinely struggling. He tries and fails. He leaves his studies, returns, leaves again. The other students don't take him seriously. For years, the boy who would one day create a musical system that outlasts entire civilizations can't get through his basic education. And then one day, something happens outside. Yared is sitting near a tree, probably somewhere he isn't supposed to be, and he notices a caterpillar, small, unremarkable, trying to climb. It falls, it climbs again, falls again, again and again, each time from the beginning, each time without stopping. And something shifts in Yared. He goes back. He doesn't leave this time. He pushes through every failure, every moment where stopping would have been the easier choice. And on this, his third return, his biography tells us he came into his full intellectual potential. He doesn't just learn the scriptures, he moves beyond them. What Yared creates next has no precedent anywhere in the world. He doesn't write songs. He builds an entire system of musical notation from scratch. His own alphabet of music, dashes, curves, and dots, each symbol carrying specific meaning for pitch, rhythm, and tone. He develops 10 original musical tones, with names rooted in Ge'ez, the ancient Ethiopian liturgical language, Yizet, Deret, Rikrik, Difat, Shere, Kenat, Hidet, Kurt, Dirs, and Anbir. To understand what that means, European musical notation wouldn't become standardized until the 11th century. Yared built his system in the 6th century. He was 500 years ahead. He organizes his compositions into 3 modes, reflecting the Holy Trinity. He divides his hymns into 4 sections, one for each season: winter, summer, spring, autumn, each with its own distinct melodies, its own emotional weight. He compiles his greatest work into a collection called the Book of Digwa, chants of sorrow and tearful songs, written in a language most of the world couldn't read. This isn't art for the sake of art, it's architecture. Yared built an entire musical universe with its own logic, its own structure, its own language. And his Gebre, his official biography, says something that is hard to explain rationally. It says he was taken to heaven and taught the arts of composition, poetry, and vocal performance by 3 Holy Spirits. Whether you believe that or not, the result is undeniable. What he created was unlike anything that came before it, and word reached the emperor. If you're finding this story as powerful as I am, a failed student who built one of the oldest music systems on Earth, and the world barely remembers him, hit subscribe. Past Unlocked exists to bring you exactly these stories. Now, let's get to the moment that defines everything. Emperor Gebre Meskel is one of the most powerful rulers in East Africa. He's heard about this musician, this scholar priest from Axum, and he summons him to perform. Yared arrives. He's accompanied by drums, by sistra, the ancient rattling instruments of the Horn of Africa, and by a group of priests. He begins to sing. His biography describes what happened next. And when they heard the sound of his voice, the king and the queen, and the bishop and the priests and the king's nobles ran to the church, and they spent the day listening to him. They ran, not walked, ran. And then comes the moment that history recorded and never forgot. Yared is singing. The emperor is standing, watching, completely absorbed. The court is silent. And at some point, nobody recorded exactly when, the emperor's spear slips from his hand, not thrown, not dropped on purpose. He simply forgets he is holding it. The music has taken everything. The world outside of it doesn't exist anymore. The spear lands in Yared's foot. And Yared keeps singing. He doesn't stop. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't look down. He finishes the music. When it's over, the emperor realizes what happened. He's horrified. He says, "Ask me whatever reward you wish in return for this, your blood that has been shed." Yared makes the emperor promise first. The emperor agrees. And then Yared asks for the one thing no court musician ever asks for: permission to leave. Yared retreats to the Semian mountains of northern Ethiopia. He walks away from the courts, the wealth, the fame, all of it. He spends the rest of his life in prayer, meditation, and music. He disappears sometime around 571 AD at the age of 66. And here's the part that stays with me. Ethiopian Orthodox tradition doesn't say he died. It says he disappeared, that he will return. Whether you believe that or not, something about it makes sense. Because Yared never really left. Right now, today, in Ethiopian Orthodox churches across the world, in Addis Ababa, in Washington, D.C., in London, in Toronto, priests are singing music that Saint Yared composed 1,500 years ago, in the same modes, using the same notation, with the same seasonal structure he designed in 6th century Axum. The music that silenced an emperor is still silencing rooms. No other composer in human history can make that claim. Mozart's manuscripts are in museums. Bach is performed by orchestras. But Yared's music is still alive, still sacred, still used exactly as he intended, inside the actual religion it was written for. He was the student everyone laughed at, the failed scholar who watched a caterpillar refuse to quit, who built a musical system 5 centuries before Europe caught up, who was so deep inside his own music that he didn't feel a spear in his foot. History barely remembers him, but now you do. If this is the kind of story you want more of, the real ones, the ones locked out of history, the figures who changed the world and got written out of it, subscribe to Past Unlocked History. Drop a comment and tell me who else deserves to be remembered. I read every single one.